TitleMatchNetwork.com.
How'd you wind up going back to Texas? How'd you reconcile with Fritz?
Well, I was in the Carolinas, and I don't remember exactly who called me, but I think it was Bronco Lubitsch, and he asked if I would come to the memorial show for when Kerry wrestled Ricky Flair. And at that show, Fritz approached me and, how are you doing? What's going on? How's the family? And he said, you thinking about coming back anytime soon? And I said, not really, man. I'm really happy in the Carolinas. And he told me, he said, I really don't trust Kim Mantell, because Kim Mantell was made the booker after
Right.
I was the booker. And he said he really didn't trust him, and he didn't really feel that Kim.
That's my computer. Go ahead.
Really didn't feel Ken, was someone that he wanted to keep long term, and would I be interested in? And I told him, no, Fritz, I'm really happy. I always looked at being a booker as a day job, and then a wrestler as a night job.
Right.
And I was very happy without a day job. I mean, I was here in the Carolinas with the Crockett's and the Great Kabuki. I had Mark Lewin and I had Kevin Sullivan with me. I had Don Kernoodle and I had Ivan Koloff and Nikita. I mean, I had a good little group of guys, and my only responsibility was to look after them and take care of their business and make their interviews and figure out what they're doing for the finish. So it was a beautiful job. And I really didn't want to go back and take that day job, as I used to call it. So a few months went by, and he called me and he said, I'd like you to come back when you finish up in Carolina, because he knew I would leave Texas. I'd be gone 17, 18 months, and then I would always come back because my wife was a Texan and my two boys were born in Texas, and she really wanted to be home. And I wasn't the type of guy that would leave my family at home and I would go on the road. When I traveled from territory to territory, I would take my family with me. So my wife, she wanted to go home, and my boys, they sort of wanted to go home too. And so when he called, he said, I got a kid here, Chris Adams. He's really very, very popular, but I want to switch him and make him a bad guy to wrestle Kevin and Kerry. Would you mind coming in and helping me switch him back and sort of help with the finishes and the programming? And you answer to me. You don't have to answer to Ken Mantell, which I never had a problem with Kenny at all. I mean, I didn't mind. I mean, I didn't have sour grapes or anything. It wasn't his fault that they hired him after I was let go or I quit, however you want to look at it. My problem was with Fritz and the payoff, and he didn't live up to our agreement. So I really had no problems with Kenny. So I agreed to the thing. I came back and I spent a few days with Chris Adams, and I let him know, how I operate and how I felt about things. And if he was interested, him and I would get together, which we did. And he had one hell of a run. He did great business there.
What are your memories of the program between you, Chris, and Kevin?
Oh, it was probably one of the stiffest programs ever, because Chris was sort of stiff too. And
Right.
Kevin, I mean, he would come at you with everything he had. I mean, I never got beat up so bad as I did with those kids. The only one person that ever beat me like that was Dusty Rhodes and Bruce Brody.
Right.
But I remember they had just great matches. I mean, it was, I remember the Cotton Bowl where really, I guess it was the thing that really put us over the top. We were in the Cotton Bowl, Kevin and Chris, and the angle was to be, if Chris would fire me, then everything would be okay. The Von Erichs and Chris would be back together, and all things would be forgotten. So we had the match, and as the story goes, Kevin got to 1, 2, 3, got on the house mic, and he told Chris, if you get rid of Gary Hart, we'll put all this behind us, we'll go back and we'll be friends. And as Kevin turned to leave the ring, Chris picked up a wooden chair and he hit Kevin in the back, potatoed him. Potato is a word when you hit somebody really hard.
Right.
And it opened up the back of his skull. I think he had something like 25, 30 stitches. Bled profusely. The world-class cameras was right there. They pulled the ambulance in, and loaded him up in the ambulance and took him to Baylor Hospital. Was on all the news, Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 11, all the networks, and people flooded the switchboards at Baylor. It was all in the headlines of the newspaper, another Von Erich tragedy, and Chris was the one responsible for it. So that really escalated it. And then when we got all we could get from Chris and Kevin, then we brought Gino back in. And then Gino and Chris against Kerry and Kevin. And we had a good long run with that. Ended up a year later at the Cotton Bowl, where I had Mark Lewin, I was managing Mark Lewin, against the great Kabuki of all things.
Right.
And Gino and Chris against the Von Erichs, and the losers get their head shaved. So, I mean, it was like a 2-year program that did tremendous money. I mean, it did very, very, very
The houses back then were huge.
Yeah, they were. I think the Freebirds and Chris and Gino would have been only second to the Freebirds. I mean, they did tremendous business.
What was the project you and Chris Adams were doing together in World Class 2?
We had done several things, independent promotions. Chris was trying to put together a television show. As you know, independent wrestling is very, very difficult to do. Financially, it's hard to get financing, and it's so expensive now with television and post-production and actually just to tape. Now it's cheaper because of the computers and things like that, but at this time period it was still linear, I believe they called it,
right,
rather than digital. And unless you had the capability of shooting a live show on tape the way we did for many, many years, then you'd have to go to post, and it cost so much money. It just never could get enough money to do it the right way.
What about your memories of Buzz Sawyer, his brief stint in WCW?
I liked Buzz a lot. Buzz was a guy that had a very, very bad drug problem also. I tried talking with him. I tried talking with the Von Erich boys. I tried talking with Chris Adams, Gino. But, when the demon got your soul, man, it's no way out. Buzz was terrific. But when he was on the shit, you couldn't deal with him.
Right.
Even Ole couldn't deal with him. Ole and I were talking about the other day, and we both really liked Buzz a lot, but we couldn't even deal with Buzz at the end. It was when you're dealing with a drug addict, it's always, I'll do better tomorrow. I won't do it anymore, and I'm sorry, but once it gets you, man, once you give your soul to drugs, your life is over. Very few make it out. Very few.
As far as his death goes, what did you hear that the circumstances were?
Well, I heard they found him sitting under a tree in a chair.
Right.
OD'd, yeah.
Do you believe it was OD or?
Accidental.
Okay.
Most of these guys that went that way, it was accidental. They didn't, they weren't tired of life. They went through with life. They just, one took over the line.
We did a shoot last night with Manny, and Manny talked about a drug deal that he was involved with, him and Buzz, and there was guns actually that were fired during the
Well, when you get involved with illegal drugs, you have to deal with people that will shoot you if they think you're trying to screw them over.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.